Why does a broken heart hurt so much, even physically? Why does your chest feel tight, your thoughts spiral, and life seem to lose its color? Just because someone you loved is no longer there. What you're feeling isn't weakness. And no, you're not overreacting. What you're experiencing is biology. Your brain, your hormones, and your entire nervous system responding to what it perceives as a profound loss. In this video, you'll discover what happens in your brain during a breakup, why it feels so overwhelming, and most importantly, how you can help yourself heal and move forward. Welcome, NeuroCurious minds. Let's begin by understanding what exactly happens in your brain when someone you love leaves. The first thing that happens is your internal alarm system goes off. Your brain interprets the loss as a threat to your well-being, and that triggers the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. That's why you feel constantly tense, unable to sleep, and on edge all the time. At the same time, levels of serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals that help you feel calm, motivated, and at ease, drop. This makes the things you used to enjoy feel meaningless. You may lose your appetite, feel drained, and see the world in dull gray tones. The amygdala, the part of your brain that detects danger, will also becomes hyperactive. This explains why you feel anxious, vulnerable, consumed by obsessive thoughts, and fearful of what's to come. Your brain is literally fighting to adapt to a loss it perceives as an emotional wound, but one that also feels very physical. And then another question arises. Why can't you stop thinking about that person? Why does your mind go back to them again and again, even though you know it's over? The answer lies in your brain's reward system. That person was a constant source of positive stimulation. Hugs, messages, laughter, plans. Each interaction triggered a dopamine release in your brain, the same chemical involved in addiction. When that source is suddenly gone, your brain enters a kind of withdrawal. It begins to obsess, to idealize them, to look for ways to get them back, just to feel that reward again. That's why you tend to forget the bad moments and magnify the good ones, as if your mind were trying to convince you that the only way to calm the pain is to go back to what caused it. But in reality, that obsession is just your brain trying to regain its balance. And even though it doesn't feel like it right now, it can recover. But to regain balance, you first need to understand why a breakup hurts so much. Attachment isn't just a romantic feeling. It's a biological system designed to keep us close to those we consider important. When that bond is broken, the brain sees it as a threat to your emotional and even physical safety. That's why when you lose that person, the same areas of the brain that process physical pain light up. That feeling of a broken heart is real. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a wound to your body and a wound to your soul. And emotional dependence on someone resembles an addiction. The relationship fed your reward circuit, and when it's gone, your brain reacts with anxiety, obsession, and a desperate craving to recover that emotional drug. That's why a breakup doesn't just hurt, it also confuses you, drains you, and consumes so much mental and physical energy. It's as if your body and mind short-circuited, trying to adapt to a reality they weren't prepared for. And this is when you start to notice the consequences, not just in your thoughts, but throughout your entire body and every emotion. On an emotional level, it's common to feel deep sadness, anxiety, sudden crying spells, difficulty concentrating, and a sense of emptiness that feels endless. Your mind feels overloaded, trying to make sense of what happened, replaying the same moments over and over. And sleep seems impossible when your thoughts won't stop. You might even feel fear about the future, insecurity about yourself, and a sense of lost identity. Who am I without that person? But there are also physical symptoms because your body perceives the loss as a real wound. Chest pain, a lump in your throat, loss of appetite, constant fatigue, tense muscles, headaches, as if your entire body was grieving along with you. It's common for your immune system to weaken, for you to feel cold, and for even small physical tasks to feel heavier than usual. There's even a phenomenon called broken heart syndrome, or stress-induced cardiomyopathy, where the emotional shock of the loss triggers a massive release of stress hormones, temporarily impairing your heart's function and mimicking a heart attack. This doesn't just happen in movies, it's a real reflection of how extreme emotional stress can affect even your most vital organs. All of this shows just how closely connected your mind, emotions, and body really are, and how an emotional wound can be felt and hurt in every single cell of your being. It's not just a metaphor, it's biology. Your heart, your brain, your nervous system, and your entire body are going through a kind of grief that deserves to be met with care and compassion. And if an emotional wound can be felt in every cell, how can you begin to heal from the inside out? The good news is that your brain has the ability to rewire itself and recover. What you need is to send it new signals and teach it that the threat has passed. To regulate your nervous system after the loss, the first step is to reconnect with your body. Take deep breaths, walk, move your energy through light physical activity. These small gestures help calm the amygdala and lower cortisol levels. It's also important to create new neural connections. You do this by having new experiences, learning something new, traveling, writing, surrounding yourself with people who nurture you emotionally. Every little action helps your brain break out of the obsessive loop and build new pathways. And finally, you need to replace the reward circuit that used to be tied to that person. Self-care, social contact, and enjoyable activities, even if they feel hard at first. Teach your brain that it can still feel pleasure and safety without depending on the lost relationship. Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about teaching your mind that life goes on and that you too can move forward. But in that process, there are mistakes that can set you back, and it's important to recognize them so you can avoid them. Because more often than not, it's not the breakup itself that causes the most pain, but the choices we make while trying to cope with it. One of the most common mistakes is idealizing the other person. It's as if your mind selectively remembers only the beautiful moments, the connection, the laughter, and completely erases the conflicts, the hurt, the times you felt alone even while being with them. This mechanism of idealization keeps your brain tied to the past, stopping it from closing the cycle and reinforcing the belief that you'll never feel something like that again. But the truth is, that perfect version you now see in your mind never fully existed. It was only part of the story. Another mistake is isolating yourself completely. Even though sadness might make you feel like nobody understands or that talking isn't worth it, prolonged isolation only deepens the sense of emptiness. We are social beings, and being around others, even in silence, even with just one trusted person, helps regulate your emotional system and reminds you that you're not alone in the world. Locking yourself away with your thoughts can make the pain feel even bigger and harder to handle. And finally, seeking immediate relief in harmful behaviors. It's tempting to try to fill the void with alcohol, with food, with endless hours scrolling through social media, watching how happy others seem, or comparing yourself to their supposed perfection. These behaviors might give you a momentary sense of calm, but they actually deepen the emptiness, feed your anxiety, and prolong the pain. It's also common to try to replace the person too quickly, jumping into a new relationship before you've healed, or constantly chasing their attention to feel validated again. That doesn't resolve anything either. It just delays the real healing process. Avoiding these mistakes doesn't make the path easy or erase the pain overnight, but it does make it clearer, lighter, and most importantly, healthier for both your mind and body. Learning to take care of yourself even in the middle of the pain is the first act of self-love after a loss. And here's something worth remembering. Your brain can heal. It can rewire itself, create new connections, and learn to find peace and joy again. Even if right now it feels like the loss shattered you into pieces, it can also be an opportunity to discover who you are without that person, to reconnect with yourself and grow from a stronger, more conscious place. Don't forget that your well-being matters. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's the first step toward rebuilding what now feels lost. If this video helped you understand something your curious mind already suspected, share it with someone else who needs it. Leave us your experience in the comments and subscribe to keep learning together how to care for your brain, your emotions, and your peace. Because knowledge doesn't just inform, it heals, transforms, and sometimes even saves. See you in the next video, NeuroCurious Minds.